Antonio Villarreal here at Society 204, going live with the 7th Annual South Texas International Film Festival. Tonight's Q&A is National Features, and we're going to talk to amazing producers, directors, actors, and we're going to get to know what goes behind, and what goes beyond making a film. Let's start off by introducing Megan. Can you tell a little bit of the audience who you are, where you're from, about your film? And who you're with?
Yes, thank you so much, Antonio, for having me and for the festival for showing Pride Jewel. My name is Megan Louise Thill. I'm an actor and producer living in the San Francisco Bay Area. And we shot Pride Jewel in 2020, and I'm excited to talk about it today. Thanks for having us.
Awesome. Is there anybody else with you that's associated with the film right now?
Not on the line at the moment, but we may have one of our lead actors join in a little bit. So I'll let you know when he's here.
All right, looking forward to it. Let's start asking some questions. The first thing that intrigues me, that caught my attention, was that quote. And I guess that quote to me was like, I guess it made me ponder as to where this film was going and the meaning behind it. And the quote was, "Life was a choice between love and money, life was a choice between love and money. One brings comfort, one brings peace." Can you describe a little bit of where you got that quote from? And was that like an inspiration or a kind of like a thread into this film, if I may ask?
Thanks for asking the question. So since I'm not the screenwriter, I'm not going to take credit for the quote, but I did see that STXIFF just joined us, who is our lead actor and actually got to deliver that line in the film. So STXIFF, did you hear the question, and would you be willing to comment on that? Kind of what went into that line for you?
Sorry, I joined mid-question. Can you please repeat it?
Yes, pleasure, STXIFF. Thank you for joining our live. You did amazing. Absolutely loved your film.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The question was, I loved the quote at the beginning of the film. "Life was a choice between love and money. One brings comfort, one brings peace." Can you describe to the audience where that inspiration came from and how it was used as a thread going into the film?
Sure. Like Megan said, I can't speak on behalf of Armen Dilancian, the screenwriter, but those words that were written in the script, what that spoke to my character, I would say, because he was naive from the beginning, coming to America and slowly realizing what he had gotten into. It was his innocence blooming into experience in a sense. So he was figuring things out, and as anybody growing up, we don't know what we're necessarily getting into until we actually do it ourselves. So in that regard, he definitely saw the wedding happening, and he realized, am I making a big mistake during that big heist scene? Mm-hmm. So it is a very, it's definitely involving experience and growing up. And that's a huge part of this story. I think a big inspiration that Armen and I discussed was A Bronx Tale, a great film regarding two father figures playing this tug of war between this kid growing up, who's gonna be the better father. And at the end of the movie, you realize, well, to some extent, they both taught him something, right? So.
Absolutely well said. Absolutely love that. And I agree with you 100%. When I saw this film, that's exactly what I captured and what you delivered to the audience. And I absolutely love that. I loved your performance as well. And that message was definitely portrayed and conveyed throughout the film. Absolutely amazing work. A question for Miss Megan. The scenery was gorgeous and beautiful throughout the whole film. Can you explain to some of the audience and some of the current and upcoming directors what was the process like securing these locations? And can you explain where this film was made, or where
Sure.
where was it filmed?
Yeah, definitely. So the film was shot in and around the Bay Area in San Francisco, but primarily in Benicia, California, which is more in the East Bay of the San Francisco Bay Area. And yeah, so, and I mean, in terms of location scouting, of course, that's always, you know, something you really need to nail, and because it's how you're going to see the whole movie. So there are a number of establishments, the wonderful museum that we shot at, certainly the Jefferson Mansion in Benicia, which is just wonderful, and a number of the driving scenes which you saw were actually in downtown Benicia, so beautiful lights. It was just really wonderful. The marina there too was really lovely. Some private residences as well in the Bay Area, but you know, I mean, getting permits, even things that, you know, for any other producers out there, I'm sure you can appreciate, even being able to shoot some of the artwork, you know, that was just in public places. You know, you need to get permission to do that. So I think, you know, that's why a lot of planning goes into pre-production and accounting for, you know, we actually had to change one of our locations while we were getting ready to shoot within a 2-week period of time. So just really have to be nimble and make good relationships, develop rapport with people, and so you can, you know, be nimble if you need to.
Wow, absolutely love that. Wonderfully said. My next question was, you had mentioned production and how long it takes to produce, to bring together actors, writers, set designers. How long was the process, and how long was the production for this film?
Sure. Well, if Armin was here, Armin Delanchen, our screenwriter, he would say it takes years and years and years, because he had you know, had the idea for this script and had written it several years before. But in terms of the actual while we were shooting, it was over the course of about 2 weeks, little more than 2.5 weeks. So it was jam packed for the feature that you saw, which is pretty incredible. And especially not to mention smack dab in the middle of COVID, no vaccines around or anything like that. So it was really, really, really fast. But in terms of pre-production leading up to it, let's see, we shot in July. I mean, we had been, you know, meeting, of course, and planning all this beginning part of the year. So I would say maybe 6 to 8 months leading up to that as well. And I'm sure there was more going on behind the scenes even before I was involved. But and then, you know, the film is actually going to be released on several platforms on May 3rd, which I saw is also, I believe, the release date for our partners here, if I was reading that correctly. So yeah, so May 3rd, 2022, it will come out. We did do a private premiere for our cast and crew back in June of last year so that they could see it. And then, of course, you know, you go through all the post-production and distribution, sending of materials and all that kind of stuff. So we're really, really excited for it to be released to the nation this year.
Awesome. I absolutely love that. Congratulations. And I absolutely love everything about this film. Let me dive into it. I guess from the beginning, I guess I can relate to Sarkis, since he's one of the actors in the film, the main actor. The culture shock, I saw a different, from your character, once he went from his hometown to America, there was like a sense of a culture shock. You had mentioned before in the last question that it was a form of naivety towards the character, like he wasn't aware as much as how, you know, the different culture shocks and the different societies work, especially in America. And what is the acceptance that you, the main character, what made you accept to be involved in that deal, in that routine? Speaking on society and cultures, like what was that for you? Like as you were going with the main villain, the protagonist of the film.
Yeah, so as an Armenian American growing up here in America, I never got a chance to actually be raised in Armenia, but I have visited once before, and it is a very poverty-stricken country. There's a lot going on there politically that people don't agree with. So a lot of, there's a reason why there's such a huge diaspora of Armenians around the world. And so I think that encapsulates when, you know, my character comes to America after especially a huge earthquake being poverty stricken, that's hard to come back from. So, you move to a different country and you try to adapt to these different cultures. And, even in Armenia, from what I understand, you can just walk up to any girl and just talk to them and try to pick them up, right? But here in America, it's not the same. So that scene when he just tries to call Sophia, he's like, "Oh, hey, how you doing? I just want to hear your voice," all that stuff. It's it's very different, and he doesn't grasp that idea until later. But working with, Cyrus being like this big mobster fellow, he definitely takes the role of a secondary father to Andre, because Andre's father, I hope I'm not giving any spoilers away, but with Andre's father being involved with an affair and all that, so he doesn't necessarily trust his actual father, so he takes trust in this Cyrus. So when he does try and fit in with that crew of robbers, he he trusts them. He feels comfortable with them, knowing that his actual father didn't do much for him. So it's definitely a, a characteristic of adaptability, as well as, as you said, culture shock. It's definitely it's new to him, but he feels comfort in knowing that sometimes new is better.
I love that. Absolutely love that. Floating on what you said from that, another line that I guess grasped that came to me, and I kind of you know made me wonder and think, was when you cross the sea to meet the devil. That was a line that was said and spoken, and I think it was by the father, right? The father figure.
I believe that was a narration line by
Yeah.
Andre. Correct me if I'm
Yes, yes,
wrong.
that's
Yeah.
right. And it was when you cross the sea to meet the devil. Uh, I guess that line echoes through many people who are struggling, and what you had mentioned before, easy money, right? And and the cycles that it creates in doing that decision, and being naive, and sometimes, like what this film is portraying, is not having that father figure, that family, in a sense, that can guide you, and even if you do have that father figure, you know us as humans are flawed in so many ways and in so many aspects, and sometimes, you know one little detail can spur and create a whole different scenario. But I absolutely love the film. The filming was amazing, amazing direction, amazing production, producing, amazing actors. You guys did amazing. I absolutely loved it. Thank you so much. Is there anything that you guys want to plug in? Megan, I know you mentioned that you're gonna be releasing it. Maybe you guys can type into the
Yeah,
live chat. That way people can go to your release
definitely.
dates, to your channels, and they'll be able to follow you and view the film and
Yeah,
support.
definitely. Thank you again so much for having us. Also, just want to give a shout out to our director, Doug Thompson. I mentioned our DP, Jonathan Salazar, before. Certainly, Armin Delanchin, screenwriter and producer, and Jake Vincent, who is not here, also who played Cyrus, and just a wonderful group of actors. John Boo did our sound, and Max Eckstein also was our gaffer, and he was just and Key Grip. I mean, just wonderful. So wonderful team. I will definitely put in the chat how you can get a hold of us. Pay attention, May 3rd will be coming out on Amazon, Google Play, Vudu, Apple TV and iTunes, Tubi, Pluto, and cable TV is in the works. Potentially Netflix, we'll see about some of those, but pre-ordering hopefully will happen in April. So yes, thank you so much for having us.
Awesome, awesome.
And I do want to add on top of that, 4D Legacy Studios will be working on a few new projects, so stay tuned.
Yes.
All right. Absolutely love it. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that information. The audience, I'm sure, is going to get a lot of it and love it. So let's go to the next film, Turbo Cola. I'm speaking to Brandon and Luke. Can you guys introduce yourselves one at a time, and where you guys are from, how you came together, and created this awesome and magnificent film?
I'm Brandon Keaton. I am the producer of Turbo Cola. I'm originally from Kentucky. Pennsylvania is where I currently reside. It was the last place that the Marine Corps sent me. I had a wonderful 21-year career in the Marine Corps, and Pennsylvania was the last place they sent me, and I just didn't feel like going home yet. I met Luke, the director, I owned a small business, and he had done the commercial for my business. And we did, and then we did two short films, two short projects together. And when the script came along for Turbo Cola, it was originally a play under a different name. But when that came along, he was the first one that I thought of to turn the play into a film.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm Luke Covert. I directed Turbo Cola. And Brandon had sent me that play script just through an email and was like, hey, what do you think of this? And I read it and was like, man, this is a really amazing play. It's like 89 pages of just, mostly people talking, just dialogue back and forth. And I was like, but what I loved were the characters. I loved the setting. I loved this sort of angsty punk rock teenage, I need to get out of my hometown sort of thing that was like in the heart of it. And that just sparked, months of like working with the original playwright and figuring out how we could kind of, elevate it into being like a faster paced movie type of feeling. And that's when sort of, the Turbo Cola got involved, and the whole heist element and the whole kind of fun of that kind of underpinning the story kind of developed. So forever grateful for Brandon, for saying yes to coming to shoot a short film in my attic and getting, beat up just with a bunch of friends, and kind of just the snowballing of that relationship over the last couple of years has been awesome.
Wow, that's absolutely beautiful. I love that. And now that you mentioned that you guys worked together before, I can definitely see that in this film. Like I can see that that togetherness, that creativity. And let me just say, I love the plot, the banter between the characters, the creativity behind it, like where it was set, like it was mainly set in this one location, but if you watch the film, like the location changes so many times, and it's not like if you're in that place, and I absolutely love it. I especially love the Y2K theme.
Yeah.
Where did you guys come up with that? I love the retro look of it as well. Like it has a retro look, and I absolutely love that. It gave it its own design in a sense, its own life in a sense, and I absolutely love that. Can you guys explain a little bit towards that?
Yeah, the Y2K stuff was built in by Samantha Audi, who wrote the play. She, she kind of loved that time period and had the brilliant idea to set it on New Year's Eve, 1999, right as everything was about to, hit the fan and everybody had different opinions on what was going down and stuff. And so we kind of just took that and ran with it from a visual direction. A lot of the movie was shot by Dennis Thomas, who is an amazing DP from New York City and a good friend of mine. And a lot of what we talked about was just not doubling down on like the kitschy VHS, like 4:3, like, over the top, like a Saturday Night Live version of a 90s look, but trying to make it feel more like it would be a movie that was shot in the 90s, by like a bigger budget team without, going too far into the extremes. And I think a lot of what, and Brandon can speak to this, what helped was just, my biggest fear when we started seriously talking about getting the script made was just the location, which is like, how are we going to find a beautiful, amazing, never been updated, full of character gas station that we can live at and have nuance to move around in, all night. And then I said, Brandon, I don't think you can find it. And about 2 hours later, he texts me and is like, I got the gas station. You want to come look at it? They're like, they basically just signed on the dotted line.
Wow.
And I was like, wow. All right, Brandon's the master producer.
The gas station, my small business was a martial arts school. And the gas station was the gas station that I basically lived at when we were running summer camps. I would eat lunch over there every day. while I was running summer camps for my martial arts school. And he remembered me, and because we had since moved to a bigger location. And it was just a matter of, calling him up and, hey, Suck Dev, do you remember me? Oh, Brandon, yes, I remember you. And I just asked him if he would like to shoot a movie, if we could shoot a movie. It was 2 weeks of overnights in a working gas station. So we did have some challenges as far as continuity goes, because items are being sold. It's a working gas station. Items are being sold, and but we were able to meet those challenges, and that goes back to what Megan was saying. You just had a great team that came together to do something special, and like your film, we were also filming during the middle of the lockdowns, December of 2020.
Wow, that's, both of you guys, both of the films here, overcame a lot, and now that you're here and you're gonna release, I can imagine that feeling. And before the live chat, we were talking about that, being prideful of our work, and not necessarily prideful, but proud of our work, because a lot of hard work, dedication, time, especially hard work, goes into creating these things, bringing everybody together and manifesting this to life. So I definitely see the hard work behind both of these films. You guys did absolutely amazing. The quality and cinematography was amazing. I loved the end of the world theme. You had mentioned that the script inspired you, the play, that you guys went off based off that play, right?
Mhm.
And you said you had changed the name. How did you come across this name, Turbo Cola?
Oh man.
It's a very catchy name.
Oh, thank you. I like it because it sounds like a band. I don't think it sounds like a good band necessarily, but it sounds like a band, And the naming of this thing became like a challenge. It was, Samantha Audie was the original playwright. She and I wrote together a bit, and then I brought in another friend who's Matthew Kiskis, who's a good friend of mine and an amazing screenwriter. And then we wrote the final few drafts together. And in that transition, the idea was like, Samantha is a playwright and she wants the play to stay like its own entity. And the name transition like needed to happen. And so when Matt and I were writing, every single new draft of the script just had a random new name on it. We probably went through 5, 6, 7, just like long-winded, really pretentious name choices, and all the actors would read the script and be like, this is even worse than the last name. What are you guys doing? And on one of the last, they were like getting scared almost. And on one of the last days of production, or nights of production, I'm about to go to sleep. It's like 7 a.m. And I get a call from one of the actresses, and I like get out of bed like, this, please God, don't let this be like a tragedy, and it's several of them together huddled around the phone. And they're like, we know you're about to go to sleep. Please don't write this name off immediately. Like, just listen to it. Tell us what you think. And they were like, Turbo Cola. And as I was doing one of the final drafts of the script, we needed a fictional soft drink to really play an important role in the heist, because we needed close-ups of it. We needed them to talk about it. We needed all of this sort of plot to hinge on this soft drink. And I just wrote that soft drink name to keep myself entertained while I was writing. And I wrote it and was like, I'll change that later, because obviously that was too quick, And it was something, to me, I would never have suggested it myself, because I came up with it, I think. But hearing them all sort of on the phone trying to convince me, it was like terrible for my ego, honestly. I feel like I was the best writer in the world. So I was like, I'll consider it, and
I love that.
yeah. And then it was
synchronicities everywhere, huh?
Yeah, right.
Definitely.
And as soon as they said it, I just saw, all of them on the poster together, like back to back, as if they had instruments, and it
The
fits
rock
into
band.
that,
I love it.
the punk rock angst, leave my
Well, I actually
hometown.
got some of those feels, some of those punk rock angst feels. When I saw it, one thing that I obtained from it kind of was, it was like a story of growing up from a small, it has like this small town feel. each character has their own story and their own, I guess, ideology or plan to move forward. And like all of us when we were young, we were like, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna do it? And so I saw a lot of that in this film. It's like, kind of like a story of growing up and stuff, something like that. What message what were you guys trying to portray through your characters and through this film?
Brandon, you want to take that or you want me to?
I thought that was more of a director
All right.
question.
I've just been talking a lot. A lot of that was with, Nick Stocer was the lead, the actor, played Austin, and he and I talked a bit about. I made them all playlists of 90s music, right? That was like, or at least him and Jordan Denning, who was the romantic lead, MJ. And we talked about how, for me, the movie was about where you're from, but it's not necessarily like geographically. It's like, your mom, and it's about your best friend growing up, who's not your best friend anymore, and your best friend now, and the girl that you dated first, and the girl that you like now, and the jock that was mean to you in high school, and all these sort of like semi-archetype things. And it was about like how you're trying to escape all that, but you kind of have to go through it, and that makes the movie sound really dramatic and teary-eyed, sort of. It's a lot more jokes than that, but that's kind of the heart of it. And I think Nick and Jared and Landon and all these amazing actors really kind of latched onto that. And day 2 of filming, or night of filming, I guess, they took one of the climactic scenes to this moment that like scared me a little bit. And I was like, yo, guys, this is supposed to be funny. Like, what are you doing? Because like, it was an intense, dramatic moment. And it kind of hit me at that point that like, man, I'm working with actors who care deeply and are really talented, and can take these moments that could either be like a funny, fluffy thing, or could be like a real heartfelt, emotional climax. And then I felt like it was, from then on, kind of my responsibility to figure out how to sucker punch the audience. They think they're on this ride of just a fun heist movie, and then at some point you realize this was a terrible idea. They should have just accepted things and like been honest. And I don't know. I don't know if that answers your question at all, but it was a good question, Antonio.
No, it actually did. I absolutely loved it. Very well answered. What you mentioned earlier was how you were taking the audience through a roller coaster, and you didn't want them to feel like if it was all rainbows, fun and games, fluffiness, right? And I could definitely feel that, and I definitely felt that towards the climactic scene. Like, I'm guessing you're talking about. I don't want to spoil, but in that climactic scene, I was like, wait a minute, whoa, like. I was like, okay, it got serious. It's real. Like, you could definitely feel the tension. It was thick and it builds. And
right.
I just want to say amazing work by you, the director, by your actors, the producers. I have a question for Brandon. Brandon, you're at a film festival right now. What can you tell the audience of what goes behind promoting, marketing? I love the poster behind you. If you guys can check it out, that's an amazing poster, the Turbo Cola. Can you give the audience a little bit of insight towards that?
Towards marketing and advertising?
Yeah, towards producing, marketing, advertising, everything that goes behind, I guess, creating the film and what your job was in the film.
Other than being the devilishly handsome cop, I was also the
get that coffee ready.
I was also, the producer, and being a small indie film, there were a couple. Everybody basically had about 3 or 4 jobs. So yeah, I was the guy who basically, I got the location. I made sure everybody was fed. Made sure, and when things went south, and they did, we got blizzarded in one night. So all of the bathroom scenes and the backroom scenes, those were done at the hotel. Those were not done at the gas station because there was a blizzard and we couldn't get out of the hotel.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that's
but coming up with and then there was a couple of nights where we didn't have the keys for something, and it was just, I don't know. It's a lonely world being a producer sometimes, because everything ultimately is your fault, good or bad. Whether that's costumes, whether that's locations, whether that's food, and I'm gonna go ahead and say it publicly. I admit I sucked in the food department. Just flat out. I couldn't
It's
please.
true.
I couldn't please anybody with the food.
Did you have coffee though? That's the question. If you had coffee, I think all else doesn't matter.
All right.
It was
delicious coffee.
a gas station, so we did have coffee. Yes.
And it wasn't gas station food. It was not that bad. It wasn't like, here, have these Doritos, you know. It was better than that, for sure.
Love
So,
it.
you know.
But yeah, it's a lonely world sometimes. It's a lonely job, because you know, everything getting to the point of filming is sort of on you. Even though I did have a great partner with Luke, who knew a lot of people. The cinematographer just was phenomenal.
Yes.
There are three things that we get complimented on the most. One is our cinematography, two is our direction, and the third one is our ensemble cast of actors.
Yes. I can say that is 100% accurate. The cinematography, the direction, the ensemble, everything was well put together. I absolutely loved it. I can see this in both of these films. I can see both of these films on the big screen. That's how good the production was on both of them, and I absolutely loved the work that went behind creating both of these films. And thank you guys so much for joining us live. Brandon, Luke, do you guys want to drop your information on the live chat? That way the audience can find your work, find your release dates. Also, is there anything else that you guys want to plug in before the live ends? Megan and Brandon, Luke? We'll
If you want to follow us on Instagram or Facebook. It's Turbo Cola Movie, and you can, if you want to watch our trailer again, it's on YouTube. Again, Turbo Cola Movie.
Yep.
And I think I don't know if you want to put your website on there, Luke.
Sure. Yeah, we have like a landing page on covertfilm.com, which is my last name. We'll put that in the chat. Also, the actor for Swearski's been watching and texting me nonstop. So if you guys want to go follow Jared Spears, he's an amazing actor.
Put their you guys put their handles on the live chat. That way everybody can follow and support you all. Sarkis, you as well. Megan, wherever we can find you, find your work. You know, this is about growing together. Any words, anything you guys want to say put out to the live before we end?
Yeah, just thank you again so much. I mean, it's a dream come true, right? To have work that you've put together and put out in the world get recognized. So just want to thank you and congratulations to Turbo Cola as well for all your hard work. It's been great being on this Q&A with you. Yeah, as far as 4D Legacy goes, Sarkis mentioned earlier, there's a couple projects that they're working on, several features. Gabriel is one of them. You may see another Pride Jewel in the future, the Redemption, and some other work. So please continue to follow us and support local artists. I would just say support local artists, get involved, you know, be extras, be background extras, sign up to help because it takes a village. And this is how we all get here, right? If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. So have fun.
Beautifully said. I absolutely love that. Wow. Anybody else before we go?
Just to you all, to the film festival, for having this. I know it must have been a huge stress on you, as you know, when you had to make the decision to not do the live version or to not do the in-person film festival, to then, you know, pivot like you have, and to just to have this. Yeah. It's a really hats off to you guys.
Thank you so much, and thank you all for your amazing words of knowledge, words of wisdom, words of love. Thank you so much. Together we rise. It does take a village. Let's get it. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful and great night. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.